How's everybody doing today? Good? Quiet group?
Doing well, sir.
Quiet group. Starting looking back at the week in review and trying to wrap up Connecticut from a week ago. It was a very frustrating game. Last Saturday, frustrating in a lot of respects. One, because so many guys played so well, and two, we had, well, not only played well, but had year best, but had career best in that game. We had so many guys play so well, but we had so many opportunities and we just couldn't close the door. We couldn't get it done. I was convinced in the fourth quarter on both of the last two drives, the one that finished in a tipped interception and the one that finished on downs, that I was convinced we were going to go down and score and win that game 17-16 late in the football game. So it was frustrating because we had so many guys play so well, and yet we couldn't make the most of the opportunities when we were given it. It was frustrating because there were a number of penalties, the most penalties we've had from a yardage standpoint since I've been here. Frustrating because of the timing of them. It seemed like we were always backed up and always in long yardage situations trying to overcome the chains, and it wasn't because of lost yardage plays or sacks or things like that, but it was because of the penalties. Made it frustrating. The offense sputtered in the first half, but came out in the second half, and I thought ran the ball extremely well. We had a 260-yard second half on your way to really halfway to a 520-yard game. Did some really good things in the second half, but weren't able to put points on the board. And when you look at the end result, we had 4 turnovers. We were 25% on third down, and we only scored 10 points. And when you look at it that way, there's a lot of things that we need to do to improve as a football team, especially from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, I mean, we could nitpick, but when your defense doesn't give up a defensive touchdown, and you have as many guys stand up and play as well as they did, I thought the defense, what a difference a couple weeks makes. I thought the defense made the most of the open date. We improved, we got better, the attitude was great. I thought the defense played very well. And probably the only thing you look at and say we had our hands on 4 balls, 4 catchable passes, 4 catchable interceptions that we weren't able to capitalize on it. But other than that, I thought the defense played an excellent game, and special teams-wise, I think it was our best game to date. It was our best game from a kickoff return standpoint. It was our best game from a net punt. It was our best of the year. It was a great opportunity. It was a great game for us from a kickoff standpoint. I think our kickoff team is making great strides. I think we improved in a lot of areas, and that's what's so frustrating about a game like this, is you can look at it from inside, and Ryan Giddens doing what he played, the way he played on defense, and Corey Grissom, the way he played, and even Juju Forte and Keith McCaskill, and the way Sam Barrington and Dede Lattimore and the guys in the secondary played. You'd love to see guys who play that well win a football game, but we are in a production business. You look at it from an offensive standpoint, and we went against the 6th rushing defense in the country, giving up 74 yards a game. We had almost 200 yards rushing. The 5 offensive linemen, I thought, played their best game. It was a 0-sack day. I thought Daryl Scott and Demetrius Murray ran extremely hard. They ran physical, they ran tough, they ran hard. We had some receivers that blocked and played really well on the perimeter. But again, we just weren't able to get it done. And that's what's frustrating, is for so many guys to play so well, but yet we weren't able to close the books. We weren't able to overcome the turnovers and the penalties. But when you're inside the 35-yard line 5 times and walk away with no points, it makes it a very frustrating day from an offensive standpoint to move the ball up and down the field a little bit and not be able to score. It makes it very frustrating, but when you look at a couple missed field goals and 3 turnovers, you're not going to win a lot of football games. We had a couple injuries in the game. Isaac Virgin, from a shoulder standpoint, will be questionable this week, and Stephen Bravo Brown with the knee will be questionable this week. Everybody else, we came out relatively clean. You still have Terrence Mitchell and a couple guys that are lingering, but we do expect Derek Hopkins to be back this week from an ankle. So we'll see we'll see how that plays out this week. We have a great challenge this week in Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 5-1 football team. Their only loss this year is to Tennessee. I know that we're excited to be back at home. It's been almost a month since we played at home, and we're really excited to have the opportunity to be back in Tampa, back at Raymond James Stadium, playing at home. It's supposed to be a beautiful day, 12 o'clock, homecoming, 75 degrees. It should be a picture-perfect day to play football, so we're really excited about having the opportunity to be back at home. but playing the Cincinnati team, it's almost eerie how similar the two teams are. When you look at them from a personnel standpoint, you look at them from a scheme standpoint, you look at it from a statistical standpoint, it's almost eerie how similar the two teams are in what we're doing, both with athletic quarterbacks spreading the field, both with some pretty decent front sevens that are playing a lot of zone coverage on the back end from a scheme standpoint. But it will be a great challenge for us with them being 5-1 and coming in here. Statistically, they are, I think, top 15 in the country in rushing offense, rushing defense, scoring offense, and scoring defense. And when you talk about being able to control the ball and stop them from controlling it, you have to be able to run the ball and stop the run. And the most important statistic we keep in this game is score. That's how we determine who wins and who loses, not by the turnover battle and not by the yardage battle, but by the score. And they are at the top of the league in all four of those statistical categories. So it will provide a great challenge for us. Offensively, they have one of the better running backs in the league, very similar to Graham that we played at Pitt. When you look at Pede, he went for 150 yards last week. He's got speed, power. He is probably a bigger, more physical Graham would be the best way to put it from Pittsburgh. I think he's a very talented player. Zach Calaris I have great respect for. I think he's a tremendously talented player. He moves around with his feet. He's a senior. He's playing really well right now. And they have three solid receivers that are catching a lot of balls for him and making some things happen for him. When I say their offensive line is big, I mean one tackle 6'7", one 6'9". I'm glad it's not a basketball game because they're huge up front when you look at them. And you get Pete back there behind them who can dart and dash and find a seam. Nobody's had the ability really to stop them yet, including Tennessee from a running game standpoint. A very talented offensive football team with a lot of weapons that it all starts with Calaris being able to beat you with his arm, with his mind, and with his feet as well. And he has done, he has done all three this year. Defensively, they have what is one of the best tackles in the league, defensive tackles. With Wolf, he's a 6'5", 300-pound defensive tackle. He'll play on Sundays. He's a very talented player. I'm really impressed with him. They've got a lot of guys running around, coming off the edge. They are, I believe, 9th and 4th in sacks and tackles for a loss. They are a disruptive defense that creates pressure, that does a lot of things with their defensive line, and they have a lot of talent, they have a lot of skill, and they run around extremely well. The linebacker level, it starts with Schaefer. He is he's the energy of that defense. They are aggressive, they're hard-hitting, they fly around, they play with a lot of energy, and a very talented group. Their special teams, Donald is one of the leading punters, not only in the league, but in the country. He's averaging 44 yards a punt, and they have a very solid special team. So it ought to be, it's a great opportunity for us to play a very good football team at 5-1 here at home, after coming off these two very disappointing losses with both of them being on the road. I think the attitude of the team right now is very upbeat, very positive. I think the Pitt game probably was one of trying to scratch your head and look back and say what happened. This is one probably that's more looking back with anger. Like we got to get it straight. We got too many guys playing too hard and too many guys playing too well. We've got an obligation as a coaching staff to get it straight, to put a team on the field and a product on the field that has the ability to win. As I said at the beginning, it's a product business. It's not how many guys played well, but it's whether or not you won or lost and where that point fell on the scoreboard, either on the home or away side, and that's what we have to get done as a football staff and as a football team right now as we move forward. I know everybody's trying to get to this press conference at 1:30, and so I will turn and open this up for questions if anybody has